Hello students, now we will read chapter 6 Empowerment of Women and Other Weaker Sections. History class 9th Maharashtra board. So let's start. Women had participated extensively in the freedom struggle. Women have also made important contributions in all fields in the post-independent period too. That is what we will study in this chapter as also the laws enacted for women and other weaker sections. Know this. Number of women per 1000 men. Year of census. Number of women. 1951, 946. 1961, 941. 1971, 930. 1981, 934. 1991, 927. 2001, 933. Find out the reasons why the number of women per 1000 men in the population has been decreasing. When we study the condition of women in India, we realize that the roots of several of the problems they face lie in the mentality of men. Even in the 21st century, we have not been able to rid ourselves of this male centered mentality. Vinoba Bhave made use of women power in the Bhudan movement, which he had started placing his faith in Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy. Women volunteers carried the message of Bhudan to all parts of India. Women played a significant role in the Telangana peasants' armed struggle with which challenged the rule of Nizams and the feudal system. As their region became free from bonded labor, women also found freedom from this torment. Manifestation of woman power. Women who have to face the brunt of scarcity of supplies and rising prices gave a show of their strength as an organized entity in 1972. Under the leadership of the socialist leader Mrinal Gorev, women in Mumbai participated in a demonstration which came to be known as the Latne Morcha, the rolling pin demonstration. Commodities like oil, ghee, rava, maida would become scarce just as Diwali was near at hand. Kerosene had become very expensive. Women came together brandishing their rolling pins and took part in the demonstration. This movement met with success and the public got a glimpse of the united power of women. The Chipko movement, another show of constructive woman power, was seen during the Chipko movement in 1973. Trees from the forests in the foothills of the Himalayas were to be cut down for commercial purposes. Chandi Prasad Bhatt and Surender Lal Bauguna had started a movement to prevent this. Women followed the strategy of holding hands and encircling each tree as their method of consisted of protecting the tree by embracing it. The movement came to be known as the Chipko movement. This is the photograph of Sundar Lal Bahuguna. And this is the photograph of Gaura Devi. Gaura Devi. Women took part in it in large numbers. Women had a big role to play in the agricultural economy of this region. Gaura Devi was the activist who created this awareness among the women with the help of Sudesha Devi and Bachani Devi. Anti-liquor movement. In 1992, in Andhra Pradesh, a movement was started against the drinking of alcohol. It received a good response in other states too. When the head of the household dies an untimely death due to addiction to alcohol, the family faces a serious crisis which affects women the most. Due to alcoholism, they have to deal with extreme sorrow and poverty. This movement got the support of the anti Arak movement in Andhra Pradesh. As a result of a government policy, Arak, a locally produced alcohol, dealers set up shop in every town and village. The poor laboring people began to get addicted to alcohol. At the same time, a literacy program was being run in the villages of the state. The Sitama Katha, Sita's story, was narrated as a part of this program. It was a story about Sita who created awareness among the people of a village and gets alcohol to be banned from the village. In 1992, three youths of Dubuganta village of Nellore district in Andhra Pradesh drowned in a lake in a state of inebriation and died. At this instance, the women of the village came together and forced the closure of arak shops. The report of this news in the local newspaper had its effect on many other villages. The movement spread to the entire state, and the government had to adopt a strict policy against the sale of alcohol. International Women's Year. The United Nations had declared 1975 as the International Women's Year. The three aspects of this program were peace, development, and equality between men and women. In 1975, the Government of India constituted the Committee on the Status of Women and appointed Dr. Fulrenu Guha as its chairman. A comprehensive survey was conducted of several issues such as the social position of women, their status, the consequences of the constitutional provisions made for women as also education of women and its percentage, their progress due to education, difficulties faced by working women, the position of women with respect to work, livelihood, their wages relative to men's wages, the female male ratio, birth and mortality rates, and the role of women. This is the picture of Dr. Fulerenu Guha. Taking into consideration this entire background, a statewide conference for women was held in 1975 organized by the Stree Mukti Sangharsh Samiti. Women from all walks of life regions participated in it. The Samiti published its manifesto in 1978. The policy of struggle against discrimination on the basis of gender, caste, and Varna was adopted. This gave rise to a collection of songs called Stream, Mukti Chi Lalkari. Stree Mukti Chi Lalkari, a street play called Mulgi Jhali Ho by Jyoti Mapsekar, and a periodical called Prerak Lalkari, which became their mouthpiece, and other such programs. In 1977, groups like the Stri Mukti Andolan Samiti, established by Saudamini Rao in Pune, Bayaja a fortnightly, as also Stri Uvach, Maitrin, and Stri Anyaya Virodhi Manch in Aurangabad, Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Kolhapur, Mahila Hakka in Nasik, and Nari Prabodhan Manch in Latur were formed. Anti-dowry protection committees were formed all over Maharashtra. A conference to protest against oppression of women was organized in Dhule city. Vidya Bal's periodicals Nari Samta Manch and Milun Saryajani, as also the work of the Samajwadi Mahila Sabha and the Krantikari Mahila Sangatn, Sangatna were of great help in dealing with women's issues. The employment guarantee scheme in Maharashtra also helped to empower women. Pramila Dhandavate established the Mahila Dakshata Samiti in Delhi in 1976. Branches of the Samiti came up in the states of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Punjab. The Communist Party established the Akhil Bharatiya Janavadi Mahila Sangatna in 1980. This is the picture of Pramila Dandavate. Efforts were made to start branches of this organization in all parts of India. The Sangatna started a struggle against issues like dowry, female foeticide, domestic abuse. Research on women's issues was undertaken at various levels. Women's studies centers were started at the first women's university, the Srimati Nathibai Damodar Thackeray, SNDT Women's University, Mumbai, and at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, Savitribai Phule, Pune University, Pune, and Shivaji University, Kolhapur. These centers played an important role in critical analysis and in developing a vision on women's issues. Laws for women. The law enacted in 1952 recognizes women's right to alimony and their share in the father's property. Her right to stridhan was recognized. Polygamy was made illegal, and women, just like men, got the right to sue for divorce. It was a law that took one step forward concerning women's issues over the following decade. The Dowry Prohibition Act 1961 made both giving and taking of dowry a cognizable criminal offense. This dismantled the dowry tradition by its roots and further encouraged the social movement. The law alleviated the distress to women caused by the undesirable tradition of dowry. The Maternity Benefit Act, which gave women the right to get leave from work at the time of childbirth, also came into force in 1961. Awareness against the dowry tradition. Even after the enactment of the anti-dowry law, incidents like woman burns to death as sari pallu catches fire while cooking and woman slips into well while washing clothes drones, and dyes continued to be reported. Investigations still revealed dowry to be the most frequent cause of such deaths. The role of the police, the administration, and judiciary were highlighted. This created greater awareness. As a result, the Dowry Prohibition Amendment Act came into force in 1984. In 1988, 2,209 women died victim to the dowry tradition. In 1990, the number of dowry deaths was 4,835, and in 1993 it was 5,377. These numbers will impress upon you the seriousness of the issue. Family Courts 1984. Family courts were established to resolve conflicts arising out of differences with marriage and domestic problems, as well as issues such as alimony, single parenthood, separation, care of children, and ownership, which are all related to the family situation. These family courts give priority to mutual understanding over witnesses and evidence, and the counselors over lawyers. Emphasis is on resolving issues quickly but justly. Trial involving alimony 1985. A fixed amount paid to a married woman for her upkeep by the husband who has divorced her is called alimony. In the case of Muhammad Ahmad Khan versus Shah Banu Begum, the Supreme Court gave the verdict that Shah Banu Begum had the right to alimony. However, religious organizations protested vociferously against the verdict. As a result, the Muslim Women's Act Protection of Rights on Divorce was passed by Parliament. The Commission of Sati Prevention Act on 4 September 1987, Roop Kanwar, a married woman, committed sati. She did not do this for her own free will. She was coerced into doing so. Committing sati, glorify the practice of sati were all illegal acts. The women activists and journalists Meena Menon, Geeta Seshu, Sujata Anandan, Anu Joseph, and Kalpana Sharma investigated the case. In 1988, the government passed the Sati Prevention Act with very stringent provisions. Protection of Human Rights Act. In 1993, this law was enacted to prevent injustice to women, to men and women. The National Human Rights Commission was also formed for this purpose. In some states, the State Human Rights Commission was also formed on the same lines. This law, which deals with collective oppression, the social conditions of diverse women and secure workplaces, played an effective role in mitigating injustices to women. Reservation for women. The 73rd and 74th Amendments to the Constitution provide for reservation of one-third of the seats for women in Gram Panchayats, Panchayat Samitis, Jila Parishads, municipalities, and municipal corporations, as well as for the post of Sarpanch, Chairman, and Mayor. Maharashtra and 15 other states have reserved 50% seats for women. This provision provides women the opportunity to participate in the business of the community. In the post-independence period, the Constitution of India accepted the principle of equality of men and women. Hence, women got the important political right to vote. Women got equal rights to education and work on par with men. Inhuman practices like sati, dowry, and polygamy were banned by law. Women's right to sue for divorce was recognized. They got a lawful share in property. In local self government bodies, seats were reserved for women so that they would have their just share of political power. We see today that due to these provisions, women have begun to get education and to earn. Also, due to ideas of liberation, women are developing a sense of self. They have begun to participate enthusiastically and with determination in all fields of education, earning money, administration, politics, etc. Do you know women chief ministers in India? सुचेता कृपालानी उत्तर प्रदेश, नंदिनी सतपथी ओडिशा, जयललिता तमिलनाडु, मायावती उत्तर प्रदेश, वसुंधरा राजे राजस्थान, ममता बनर्जी वेस्ट बंगाल, राबड़ी देवी बिहार, आनंदीबेन पटेल गुजरात, शीला दीक्षित दिल्ली, महबूबा मुफ्ती सैयद कश्मीर, उमा भारती मध्य प्रदेश, राजेंद्र कौर भट्टाल पंजाब, सुषमा स्वराज दिल्ली, शशिकला काकोडर गोवा, सैयदा अनवर तैमूर आसाम, जानकी रामचंद्रन तमिलनाडु are all women who have led their states as chief ministers. Do you know a demonstration was held in New York on 8th March 1857? It was the first demonstration by working women, and its demands were for fewer working hours, proper remuneration, provision of crutches, etc. On 8 March 1909, women went on strike for the very same demands. That is why this day was declared as Women's Struggle Day at the Women's Socialist International, a conference held in Denmark. The year 1975 was observed as the International Women's Year, and in 1977, 8 March was declared as International Women's Day by a resolution passed in the General Assembly of the United Nations. Schedule caste. In the post independence period, our constitution adopted the values of freedom, equality, fraternity, and social justice. In accordance with his, the practice of untouchability was banned by law. Untouchability was removed by the 17th paragraph of the constitution, and this class was included in the scheduled castes. In view of the educational and social backwardness of scheduled castes, they were given reservations in education as well as jobs to facilitate their development. Scheduled tribes. Just like the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes or Adivasis who live in remote parts of the country also face several difficulties as they have lived far away from the progress made in modern times. They are economically and socially backward. Even though their conditions have seen some improvement in recent times, they do not have any means of livelihood other than agriculture and forest produce. Modern farming implements have not yet reached them. Hence, their income from agriculture is very small. Besides, their fields are on hillsides and not fertile. They are malnourished due to insufficient and poor quality of diet. Adivasis in remote areas find it difficult to get medical attention in time. For all these reasons, there is a need to give special protection to Adivasis. In the Indian Constitution, Adivasis have been enumerated as scheduled tribes. They are getting given representation in law boards, education, government service, etc. Nomadic and denotified tribes. Castes and tribes that move from place to place for a livelihood are included under nomadic tribes. They live by rearing animals and engaging in some other occupations. The British had declared some of them as criminal tribes. In the law of 1871 to curb crimes, some of the main groups were mentioned as criminal tribes and their occupations and movements were banned. This unjust law was repealed in the post independence period and the curbs on these tribes were lifted. They were included under denotified tribes. Special efforts are made by the government for the purpose of their social and economic development. These tribes have been given representation in educational institutions and the government sector. Minorities. In any society, a group of people of a particular religion, language, or race who are few in number are termed as minority. As there are various religions, sects, and languages in our country, we see great cultural diversity. There is variation in cultural traditions too. In order to preserve their cultural traditions and develop their own language, the Constitution gives the citizens certain educational and cultural rights. Minorities have the right to protect and conserve their language, culture, and traditions. For this purpose, they have the right to set up separate educational institutions. The government implements various schemes for their progress. In the next chapter, we shall learn about the progress that India has made in the field of science and technology in the post independence period. Exercises we will do in a separate session. Thank you.